Hi, this is Galina Marcus.
And this is Ron Marcus, and you're in the art scene. Galina is a fine artist working in multiple media.
And Ron is a musician and a martial artist. Together we're seeking the answers to these fundamental questions: how to enjoy being an artist,
and how to succeed as an artist.
We'll be probing the psyches and harvesting the wisdom of practitioners of all kinds of art: painting, sculpting, writing, photography, cinema, performing arts,
music, martial arts, healing arts, and even science and technology. Wherever human creativity is being expressed and applied to help make the world a better, happier place. We are recording.
Hey, honey, how are you today?
You're going to call me honey on the podcast?
Why not? I call you honey every day. We might as well be real with people.
I am shy about public displays of affection, honey.
We are husband and wife. We decided to start this podcast in 2021 that is called In the Art Scene. And for the first episode, we just decided to talk about why we decided to record the podcast and what this podcast is going to be about.
So this is episode number 1, and you heard our introduction, and we are the interview subjects today. We're interviewing ourselves, but we just wanted to give you a brief introduction to this podcast and what you can expect from it and where it's going to go. We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but that's all part of the journey, right?
Yes.
And hey, if you've been wanting to start a podcast yourself and you've been on the fence or hesitant, well, if we can do it, you can do it.
Yes, I am literally terrified of microphone in front of my face, but seeing a lovely face of my husband in front of me actually makes it so much better.
And she's got a big, giant Blue Yeti microphone in front of her right now, so you can imagine how afraid she was when she started.
It's intimidating.
It is. It's huge. But it's a good microphone, by the way. If you're looking for advice on podcast microphones, the Blue Yeti is a great way to go.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. No affiliate links here. All right. So why don't we get started?
So I was thinking about starting a podcast for quite a while. Actually, it was kind of a fantasy because, as I said, I am terrified of microphone being anywhere in a close proximity of my face. But I decided to start for the beginning with a blog. And a few months ago, I started a blog that is called In the Art Scene, where I invite all kinds of artists, mostly visual artists, because I am a visual artist and I know some people, or I get to know new people every day. And I started interviewing them. And by today, by the time we are recording this first episode, I already have 6 articles on intheartscene.com. We decided to pursue a podcasting together and make it an extension of intheartscene.com.
So, as you know, we're married and we've been looking for things that we share in common interests that we can pursue together, because we obviously have a lot of different interests as well, things that we do apart. But we wanted to have some passion project that we'd both get excited about doing together. So I'm very much into audio and video and production and things like that. And I'm also an artist myself, not a visual artist so much, although I am a graphic designer as part of what I do in my day job as a marketing director. But I am a musician and a martial artist. So, there is a lot of art to martial arts, believe it or not. And there's all kinds of other types of art that are not maybe what you would traditionally think about in art. And as you heard in our intro, even science and technology, there's a level of creativity and out-of-box thinking and innovation and a human emotive element, I think, that goes into that, especially if you're pursuing important human causes like curing a big disease. So working together, we really offer a broad range of potential topics we can cover. And as we interview folks in different spheres, we can bring different perspectives to the questions we ask too.
I'm so excited. And this is actually very funny because, yes, we have different passions. And it was quite a journey, right? We have different passions that we don't pursue together. So you have nothing to do with visual arts in the way that I am working with visual arts. I am into yoga, you are in martial arts, and we kind of try to attend each other's classes and that didn't quite work. But there's so much commonality in what we do and what we're passionate about. And we enjoy talking about it on a regular basis, just, at the dinner table. So we were looking for the common ground to actually sit together and make something ours that would combine all our passions together. I think this is a perfect way to do it.
Yeah. So enough about us. Let's talk more about you, the listener, and what you can gain, what you can expect from this podcast. Because this isn't just for us to listen to ourselves talk. We want to offer something to you that you will enjoy. I mean, the two main goals of any communication is to inform and to entertain. And we hope that we do both with this podcast.
I'm a psychology junkie. You know about that. I don't know what kind of audience we're going to have for this podcast and what kind of audience in theartscene.com is going to grow. I am doing it with my own passion to discover what is inside every artist, what is motivating them, what is art for them. Is it an outlet? Is it a coping mechanism? Is it an expression? Is it the way of communicating some important ideas? There are endless ways artists can use their art for different reasons. So for me personally, it is very interesting to explore that area and see maybe I am missing something, or maybe there is something common between me and those other artists, or maybe it's just interesting to explore someone's inner world. That was my selfish idea for starting that website. And I assume that if we're having an audience for this podcast, that people are actually coming for something like this as well, to learn about how artists think, how do they live, what do they feel, how they create.
What inspires them?
Absolutely. Where do they get their ideas? How do they dream about things?
So the bet for this podcast and website is that Galina's selfish idea will also be your selfish idea, and you'll want to join in this journey to see how your fellow artists are thinking and feeling.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be a win-win, because either I will speak to a larger audience and be heard, or it will show me that I'm a unique person and there's no one like me because no one is listening to this.
With an audience of one. In which case, we'll be in our own echo chamber listening to ourselves blabber on about nothing, and no one will care.
Okay, well, you tell me, why did you decide that this podcast is going to be a good idea for you too?
Well, to be honest, in the past, I actually had dabbled thinking about creating a podcast where I would interview other creators. I didn't get quite past, I didn't really even get into the conceptual stage about it. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I was consumed by everything else I was doing, including family life and my job and martial arts, and I'm a teacher in martial arts, improving my music chops, and also I'm a volunteer in a nonprofit. So I have a pretty busy life. So it was one of those things that I just didn't get off my butt to start doing. And this all just kind of came together. And now I do have a way to actualize a podcast where I get to talk to creators, or we get to talk to creators. So very much the same thing. From my background, a lot of the folks that I'll be lining up for interviews will be more on the musical side. And also talking to some artists of life. So we'll cover some things in healing arts. We'll cover some things in martial arts. I've got a whole lot of great people to line up for these interviews that you'll really enjoy hearing about and hearing from. And whether it's visual art or musical art or any other kind of art, I think one of our goals is to explore their thought process, their creative process, and then perhaps also the tools they use and how those tools enable them and empower them to translate what's in their head and their hearts onto the medium that they work in. So I think we're going to geek out for the same reasons on this. And then I just love recording and editing audio and putting together nice sounding podcasts. So that'll be a joy as well.
Is there anything in particular you want to gain from this podcast, from interviewing other people on the podcast?
Well, I hope to gain what I hope what listeners will gain, which is getting inspired and increasing our perspectives from hearing from myriad other types of people and the ways that they see the world and how they express through art. We only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And there's so many other ways to express and create and interpret. And so I think all of us will expand our boundaries. So in a way, even though we're moderating the podcast, we're also right there with every other listener, listening to the people we interview. And if we're good interviewers, we're going to do more listening than talking. Although today we are the people being interviewed, so we're talking a lot. But, our best thing we can do is ask good questions and then get out of the way and let our interviewees really regale us with their knowledge and their creativity.
Among our guests, we will try to invite established artists who are making it their a livelihood and a career, but also people who have their own different day jobs and use art on a regular basis for different reasons. So it's not necessarily the podcast about very famous multi-million dollar worth artists from the galleries and Christie's and etc. But it is about people who are creative on the regular basis and can't live without it.
We'll talk to people who are, say, a successful lawyer, for instance, who paints on the side just for fun.
Yeah, we have one in the list.
But is a great, fine artist. I mean, ultimately, this podcast, and we probably should have said this at the beginning, but we did in our intro, and that is to see how to enjoy being an artist and how to succeed as an artist. And success can mean a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean you do art full time and you get paid all kinds of money and you're showing in galleries and people are lining up to buy prints of your art. It could, and for some folks that's the end game. For others, it's purely about expression. It's purely about pursuing a passion alongside other things that they do in life. But at the end of the day, we hope we'll be a little bit closer to understanding how to really enjoy being an artist, whatever works for you, and how to succeed, whatever success means for you.
Yeah, and because we're planning such a variety of different guests, I think that some of them will definitely resonate with you guys.
We're going to interview all kinds of people. So, if we hit like a 65% resonation rate, I think we're doing well. And you can just turn off the other 35%.
Let's aim for 65% resonation rate.
Which I don't even think that's a word. We just made that up. But that's what the creative process is all about. So I think this might be a good place to cap things off. But this is what you can look forward to. And we look forward to having you on the journey with us.
So stay tuned. And we promise we have some really cool folks in the list.
Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Bye, guys.
See you soon.
Thank you for being in the art scene.
Always have to get the last word in, don't you, honey?
Yes.